Hey folks, welcome to the Sky Tonight program. I am back with you again. My name is Seth Mayo, Curator of Astronomy for the Lohman Planetarium at MOAS. And I've been out for about a month or so teaching some of our summer camp classes for our annual SLI camp that we have at the museum. And that's kind of coming to a close here very soon. And while I was out doing that, we had our wonderful planetarium educator, Nicole Baird, who did a marvelous job presenting the night sky and teaching astronomy on here. And she'll be doing more of these in the future as well. But just want to give credit to her and all the great work she's done. So if you've been listening in, I'm sure you enjoyed her programs because I did very much myself. And we'll have other planetarium educators presenting too. So we'll have some diversity in our voices, in our presentations, a team effort because space is big. There's so much to cover. Can't do it all myself. It's nice to be able to have others to help out with this. So anyway, for this version of the Sky Tonight, I'm covering the week of August 10th through August 16th. We're already pretty far into summertime already. And we're going to talk about the Perseid meteor shower going on, the position of the moon next to some interesting planets, and we're going to talk about the dog days of summer and the celestial reason behind that saying. So let's get to it and start with a little bit of our sky tonight. All right, so we'll set the sun and take a look at what is out this week. So we're looking in the west here, and the sun sets a little after 8 o'clock at this time of the year. So now it's getting earlier. Now we've made our way through much of the summertime. Days are getting shorter each day, and our nights are getting a little bit longer. So we'll notice that until we reach the winter solstice in December. So we'll set the sun, and we can still see a great view of Arcturus in the west. Here's this star. It's a red giant star that the Big Dipper right here, the arc of the Big Dipper's handle kind of arcs to Arcturus, the fourth brightest star in our sky, and really shines. Still in the western part of the sky. We slide ourselves over here and we'll look in the south. We have these wonderful summertime constellations that we've spoken about previously. You'll look directly south at this is about 9:24, close to kind of, just say around 9:30. Here in the south, you see what looks kind of like a giant S. This is Scorpius, the Scorpion, which again we've also mentioned in recent episodes. And next to it is the teapot-shaped looking constellation next to Scorpius called Sagittarius, who is a half-man, half-horse, a centaur from Greek mythology. And what's really nice is next to the centaur, next to Sagittarius, rising out of the southeast, and now it's getting higher and higher in the eastern sky, getting even easier to see each night, are these two planets here, Jupiter, and we have the planet Saturn right there as well. So we can click on those two to confirm those planets. Jupiter will be the brighter of the two, and then Saturn kind of near it, a little bit below it and to the left. They're going to look like bright stars that don't twinkle in our sky, so they really stand out. And if we look real high in the east right now, pretty high up, you'll notice these three bright stars, Vega, this one here is Deneb, and Altair, form this giant triangle. We call it the summer triangle, and those really stand out, especially the star Vega, another one of the brightest stars in the sky. And so this triangle is quite nice, and we should be able to turn on the asterism. These are the markings for asterisms in the sky, and so there's the triangle, and you can see a few others kind of placed among the sky. There's a little dipper. This is called the Northern Cross, which is also Cygnus the Swan, and a few others here. There's the teapot shape. But the summer triangle really stands out in the sky. So that's quite nice for this time of the year. Now what's really great for this time of the year is something that you'll find that always happens kind of in early to mid-August, and that is the Perseid meteor shower. And it really kind of begins the meteor shower season. There's not much in the first half of the year to get really excited about. There are some that are kind of interesting, But from August onward till the end of the year, you have some of the best meteor showers. And these are these streaks of light shooting across the sky that create these beautiful light displays. Sometimes we call them shooting stars. And they actually come from the debris trail of comets and asteroids. As they go around the sun, these objects leave behind little materials, and Earth always passes through those trails at certain times of the year. And also things are lined up in such a way where we're hitting these debris trails where certain constellations lie in the sky. So anytime you hear one of these meteor shower names, a lot of times it has to do with either the star it's next to or the constellation it's next to or within. So there is the constellation called Perseus. He was a mighty kind of hero and warrior. He was the son of Zeus and Danae, and the Clash of the Titans stories involve Perseus. I'm sure you've heard of those. So if you look in the northeast, in this part of the sky, you'll find this big W shape. That's very noticeable. This is called Cassiopeia. That's a queen from Greek mythology. But underneath it, there are some stars that are supposed to form Perseus, which kind of line up here. And I can turn on this constellation to give you kind of a sense of what we're looking at here. It's supposed to be a warrior, this really skilled warrior who slayed Medusa from these ancient stories. And we'll turn on his picture too, and there he is. So kind of radiating out of this point, and I'll kind of click that off and turn on the meteor shower button. This kind of indicates the radiant point for these meteors. So usually around August 11th, 12th, 13th, which is the peak of this meteor shower, these meteors that are streaking through the sky from the debris trail of Comet Swift-Tuttle are radiating out of this point near the head of Perseus. Now you don't need to exactly know where Perseus is in the sky, but it does help to know kind of the general area where the meteors are shooting from. So you won't see all of them here. Sometimes you'll see them streaking across the entire sky or even start on the other side of the sky. But if you could trace all the paths of these meteors, or at least most of them, at this time of the year, you'll notice that they all kind of line up towards this radiant point in the sky. And again, that's because at this time of year, we are traveling through the Comet Trail of Comet Swift-Tuttle, which we'll take a look at here. Alright, so here we're using a program called OpenSpace, which is totally free. And this just kind of gives us an idea of why we are experiencing the Perseid meteor shower at this time of the year. So this is a model of our solar system. You got the sun in the middle, and this blue orbit represents the orbit of Earth as we go around the sun. And this kind of yellowish orange orbit represents Comet Swift-Tuttle. And it is a comet that takes about 133 years to go around the sun. And the last time it was closest to us in the sun was in 1992. So we have a long time to wait before that happens again. But as that comet makes its way around the sun, it leaves a debris trail. And at a certain time of year, at this time of year, here in August, Earth is passing through that debris trail. As you see these kind of two orbit lines intersecting. And that is why we are experiencing this meteor shower. And other meteor showers work the same way too. This one is located in this position and this time of the year. So you might be wondering, when is the best time to watch this meteor shower? Well, one thing actually to know is this meteor shower runs for quite a long time. So it actually runs from July 17th through August 24th. So technically you can actually see the meteor streaking from this area of the sky around that time, in that time frame. But the peak of it is actually happening in the morning of the 12th. It would actually, for at least East Coast United States, it'd be around the 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. But of course it's daylight by then. So a really good time is kind of the evening of the 11th and really going into about midnight and early morning on the 12th. But also the 13th and 14th of this month will also work Well, the one thing you have to consider is the moon, because if you stay up a little too late around some of those dates, 11th, 12th, even the 13th, and you let the moon rise, we'll speed up time a little bit and get a little bit past midnight, you'll find the moon will be kind of near half full. Maybe a little bit less as you head into the 12th and 13th year, but still that moon will provide some light pollution. So that will kind of cover up or obscure some of the meteors shooting through the sky, because they can be kind of dim sometimes. They're not always the brightest objects. Some of them can be very bright, but they're not all bright and large. And so the moon can cause some obscuring of those. So kind of one recommendation is to not go out too late, even though the best time to look at meteor showers is usually after midnight and before sunrise. For this particular one, because where the moon is located, you might want to go out maybe 11, even 12 o'clock time frame. So again, this is just after midnight on August 12th. And so you'll find Perseus will be up in the sky. The radiant will be up. And again, if you kind of put a lawn chair outside, get some bug spray, maybe bring a snack or two, hang out with your family, and just go out and be patient and let your eyes adjust to the dark. And if you can go to somewhere dark, even better. But even your front yard, backyard could work. And just wait at least an hour, and maybe you'll see a meteor or two. At its peak, the Perseid meteor shower can release 50 to 100 meteors. So it's one of the best meteors you can find all year. But you do have to consider the moon. Now, it may be advantageous to wait to the 13th, even the 14th. So this will be the morning of the 13th around midnight. The moon will be even farther away. It'll actually move more eastward. And so it'll be a little smaller, lesser phase. And on the 14th, even though these two dates are not exactly on the peak, again, we have until the 24th to see this meteor shower. So it gives you some opportunity there. But if you're out 11th, 12th, 13th, even 14th, up until August 24th, you have a chance to see these beautiful streaks of little cometary debris kind of streaking across the sky. It's a very cool thing to see. And lastly, for our early morning risers, there's some interesting positions to look at with the moon and planets and the rising of a very bright star in the sky. So this is on the 10th, beginning of this week, and we can see the moon will be near the planet Mars. So this is about 6 in the morning on the 10th. And so that's kind of a nice sort of positioning there. Mars is, of course, that red dot there, the red planet. And there you have the waning moon. But what's really nice is if you wait until the 15th. So we'll skip ahead in time, watch the moon kind of move across the sky as we go from morning to morning and go all the way to the 15th. And that's when the moon is very close, almost directly east, so rising kind of with the sun just below it. There's a really lovely crescent moon shape, and the brightest planet in the sky, that is the planet Venus. So this is a really nice pairing for those who get up early in the morning. Maybe you're a sunrise viewer or like to walk on the beach or something. If you're here in Daytona, you can take a look at that kind of conjunction going on. And what is really nice is we have our development manager, Monica Mitri, who will be painting this moon and Venus pairing in the sky. She's an amazing artist, and so she's already done a few art projects online digitally. So she'll have a painting of this that she will put together, and to really celebrate the positioning of these beautiful objects in the sky. And one last thing to kind of end things off with, since we're in what's called the dog days of summer. This time of year, of course, we know it's the hottest time of the year, or at least definitely feels like it. And that term is kind of interesting. Why do we call it dog days of summer? And we think really the origin comes from the rising of what's called the dog star. And if you know a little Greek mythology, Orion the Hunter here, who is typically thought of as a winter constellation, because that's when you normally see it in the sky, and we'll draw him. Orion the Hunter here had two dogs. He had a dog named Sirius, or Canis Major, we sometimes call it, and this dog Procyon, which is Canis Minor. So these are his sort of dog companions. But the bigger dog, named Sirius, has a star inside of it with the same name. And that star Sirius is commonly known as the dog star. And so ancient Greek astronomers and people that observed the sky and told stories noticed that this star rises along with the sun. And what they sort of believed was that because that this blazing star is rising with the sun, the combination of that star and the sun makes it very hot and makes it the hottest time of the year. Hence the term dog days of summer, as the dog star is rising in the east along with the sun, contributing to the intense heat, especially the heat that we feel here in Florida, but elsewhere in the northern hemisphere at this time of the year. So with that being said, I will say happy dog days of summer. Thanks for tuning again, and just keep checking out our content. And for more, not just Sky Tonight tours, but other astronomy and other educational, even art lessons and programs that we're doing. And glad to have you along with us. So take care. Happy stargazing.